Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Most people believe starting a company requires thousands of dollars, lawyers, accountants, and confusing paperwork that leaves you feeling like entrepreneurship is reserved for those with an MBA. In 2026, that belief is finally outdated, and forming an LLC has become one of the simplest things that you can do in entrepreneurship. Yet, too many people remain unaware of just how inexpensive and accessible this process really is. This is not about paying someone online to file something you could have submitted yourself, and this is not about paying a formation service $300 if your state filing fee is only $90. This is about showing you how to create your LLC properly, legally, and affordably, and how you could do this without overspending a single dollar more than necessary. An LLC offers real liability protection, real tax flexibility, and real separation between your personal assets and whatever business risk you decide to take on. And yes, you can do this completely on your own if you know what steps to follow. And most importantly, you can avoid every unnecessary fee if you understand what matters and what doesn't. And there's also a strategy that allows you to do this at potentially no cost. So today, we'll go through the entire process from start to finish. We're gonna break down the decisions that actually matter, the paperwork you actually need, and what you can and cannot have done for free, and how to legally maintain protection. Also, how to make sure the IRS will recognize your business the way you intend to. This is going to be the 2026 LLC hack and how you can set up your company for $0 beyond mandatory state fees without hiring an attorney, a formation service, or anyone else to have to hold your hand through this process. It's something that you are totally capable of doing on your own. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. An LLC or a limited liability company is much more than another piece of paperwork. It is a legal shield. When something goes wrong in business, whether that be a lawsuit, a contract dispute, or financial failure, the LLC is what stands between your business and your personal life. That separation is everything. Without it, you are the business. Your personal bank account is the business bank account. Your home could be targeted in a legal claim. Your car, your savings, and your wages could all be exposed. Entrepreneurs don't deal with that kind of risk. Wealth cannot compound when the foundation is vulnerable. This is why investors put rental properties under LLCs, and why e-commerce sellers separate stores from personal identity, and why high-earning contractors choose to operate under a formal business entity. And the LLC exists to shield who you are from the risk of what you do. But liability protection is only half the advantage. The other is tax control. Unlike a corporation that is taxed one specific way, an LLC gives you the power to choose how the IRS views your business. Your LLC can be taxed in 4 different ways depending on your needs. It can be taxed as a disregarded entity where profits flow directly to you. It can be taxed as a partnership like single-member LLCs. Co-owned LLCs don't pay taxes on business income. Instead, the LLC owners each pay taxes on their share of the profits on their personal income tax returns. It can be taxed as an S corporation, which may reduce self-employment tax once your income grows, and it can even elect to be taxed as a C corporation if retained earnings and long-term reinvestments align with your business model. Now, the real power of an LLC is that it adapts to you. You are not forced into a tax structure. You pick the structure that benefits you the most. Choosing incorrectly can cost thousands of dollars, and if you choose wisely, it can save you thousands. That's why learning how to form an LLC intelligently is one of the most profitable skills an entrepreneur can acquire. If you've never formed an LLC before, you may imagine like mountains of paperwork, legal documents, waiting periods, notary stamps, and complicated tax registration. In reality, modern LLC formation usually takes like 10 to 25 minutes online. In most states, you can set up everything on the Secretary of State website without a single phone call. Now, for every state, that is going to be different, but for the most part, you can Google Secretary of State in your state, and somewhere on that website, you'll be able to find a page to show you how to form your business. There is no requirement that you hire a CPA to file your LLC. There is no regulation stating that a lawyer must be involved. There is no law that requires you to use a formation company to handle the paperwork. These services exist because people don't know how easy the process truly is. And when you lack knowledge, you pay for help. When you have knowledge, you keep your money. There are even companies that will file your LLC paperwork for free, and although you still may pay a state filing fee, you don't have to spend anything more unless you choose to. And that's what this method is all about, eliminating every payment you don't need to make. But before filing anything, there are decisions that you must make. These choices determine where you file, how you operate, and how you'll be taxed. Now, if you skip this, you risk choosing the wrong state, exposing your private information, you risk losing the ability to have protection, which is kind of the point of having the business entity, and you may lock yourself into a tax structure that doesn't fit your income. So let's go through this step by step slowly in a way that makes filing your LLC almost effortless. Let's begin with step 1, choosing the right state in 2026. Now, there's a myth circulating online that you should always create your LLC in Wyoming or Delaware. I even put this graphic on the screen that shows the best 9 states to register an LLC, and you can take a look at that if you want. But you may have heard that same pitch where they're like, no state income tax, strong privacy, business-friendly laws, and those benefits are actually real. I live in the state of Nevada. As you can see, it's one of the states on there, but they don't apply to every business. If you operate your business from California, you will still owe California tax, even if your LLC was formed in Wyoming. If you live in New York, but your clients are there and your business activities happen there, a Delaware LLC may not shield you from New York taxation. The state where you operate is almost always the correct state to form your LLC. If you live and run your business in, let's say, Texas, then you want to form your LLC in Texas. If you run it in Florida, form it there. 90% of entrepreneurs save time and paperwork and annual compliance costs by filing where they live and where they work. However, privacy-focused entrepreneurs sometimes choose states like Wyoming or Nevada because these states don't publicly list LLC ownership. If you don't want your name searchable online, that option does exist, and many business owners prefer anonymity. Still, most people benefit from keeping things simple and registering where they live and where they operate. Step 2 is choosing a business name. Now, your business name becomes a big part of your brand identity. It must be unique within your state, which you can verify on the Secretary of State database. And a generic name is legally acceptable, but a strategic name will build trust. So think about how future customers will perceive it. Think about how it looks on a website, an invoice, a product label, a business card, and also think about growth. A name too specific may limit future expansion. Choosing something memorable but that's also flexible and marketable is probably the best option. Most states require that the name end with either LLC or the full phrase limited liability company, and that designation signals legal structure and communicates credibility. Once your name is clear and you already have momentum, you are no longer thinking about starting a company, you are actively building one. I have another video where I talk about the do's and the don'ts of an LLC. I'm gonna link that video right here. If you wanna hear like some things that you should keep in mind when you're talking about names, I highly recommend that you watch that video. Step number 3 is choosing a registered agent without overpaying. Now, this step determines whether your home address becomes public information. A registered agent is the person or business entity that's responsible for receiving official mail, legal notices, and compliance documents for your LLC. Keep in mind, you are allowed to be your own registered agent if you live in the state where you form your LLC. However, your name, your address will appear in public record, and if someone searches your business, they can see exactly where you live. Many entrepreneurs are comfortable with that, many are not, and if you're okay with that, then this is the most cost-effective solution. You also have a few alternatives. So for example, you can use a virtual address for your business. I have an entire video that talks about the most affordable virtual addresses. If you want to watch that, I'll link that video here as well. If complete privacy matters to you, then choose a third-party agent. There are numerous services, many costing far less than people assume, and some companies even offer the first year free if you file through them. The key here is knowing that you have a choice. You can list yourself to save money, or you can protect your privacy using a virtual address or a registered agent for a minimal cost. The choice is yours, and again, that just depends on the level of privacy that you want to have. Step number 4 is filing your articles of organization. This is the form that legally creates your LLC, and it's the official registration document submitted to the Secretary of State. Every state will use its own version of this form, but they all request similar information. And usually when you're filling this out on the Secretary of State website, you just kind of go through the process and the motions of doing it, as you're completing this registration. So to break this down easily, you will list your LLC's name, its business purpose, whether it's member managed or it's managed by someone else, the physical business address, and the registered agent that you selected. One detail that many people overlook is the organizer, and the organizer is simply the person who's submitting the paperwork, but whoever is listed becomes publicly searchable. Once again, if privacy matters, you may choose a filing service or registered agent who can be listed in your place. If privacy isn't that big of an issue, then you can list yourself and you can save on this cost. Once submitted, you pay the mandatory state filing fee. This is the only cost that you are required to pay when it comes to filing for a business. The fee could be $50 in one state, it could be $500 in another, but there are no other required payments unless you choose optional services. At the end of the video, I'll discuss a way to offset the cost, making this entire process essentially free. And after submission, the state processes your registration. Some approve it in minutes, others take several business days, but when the approval arrives, your company will officially exist. Step number 5 is creating your operating agreement. The operating agreement is an internal blueprint for how your business operates. It explains who owns the company, how decisions are made, and how profits are distributed, and what happens if a partner leaves or passes away. Some states require this, others do not, but every serious entrepreneur should have one. A single member LLC will have a single operating agreement because there is only one member making the decisions, and a multi-member LLC must address disagreements, voting rights, ownership, transfer, dissolutions, procedures, contributions, and compensation structures. Without clarity, conflicts can destroy partnerships that could have been prevented with one document. So just to clarify, your operating agreement never needs to be filed with the state. It's private, it's yours, but it's for your protection against confusion and future disputes. It may be the most important internal document that your business will ever have. Step number 6 is submitting your final registration and finally making it real. So once your articles of organization and operating agreement are complete, you are ready to officially register your LLC. You can file directly again on your state secretary website or through a company that offers free filing where you only pay your state filing fee. This is where your business becomes official. The moment your approval letter arrives, you legally exist as a limited liability company, and from this point forward, you must maintain compliance to keep your protections active. But there are several critical steps remaining because many new entrepreneurs form an LLC and they just stop right there, unaware that they are only halfway completed. An LLC without a tax ID, without a business bank account, and without proper filing is legally vulnerable, so we have to continue to take these other steps. Step number 7 is obtaining your EIN for free. Your EIN, or your employer identification number, is the business equivalent of a social security number, and you will need this to open a bank account, to file your taxes, to hire employees, and to apply for business financing. You do not need to pay anyone to get this. You can apply directly through the IRS website. That's going to be irs.gov. This process takes less than 10 minutes and there is no cost. And once you have your EIN, your company can operate financially. You will now be recognized by both the state and the IRS. You can accept payments, you can contract clients, open accounts, and begin separating your business finances from your personal assets. Now, I have an entire video that shows you how to structure a business. If you want to watch that video, I'm going to link it right here. I should also be updating this very soon for 2026. Step number 8 is making your tax selection while the window is open. So when you file your LLC, the IRS automatically treats it as a disregarded entity if you are the sole owner. So that means all profits flow directly to your individual tax return. For new businesses generating low income, this is usually fine. But once your profit reaches a certain level, an S corporation election may reduce your tax burden by lowering self-employment tax exposure. For large companies reinvesting revenue, a C corporation structure might make sense. The IRS gives you 75 days after forming your LLC to elect a different tax structure, which means timing does matter. Waiting too long could delay your eligibility to lock into an unnecessary tax obligation. This step alone could save you thousands, even $10,000s of dollars when a business begins scaling, and understanding taxation is not a luxury, it's leverage. Step number 9 is opening a proper business bank account. Once you have an EIN, you must separate your business money from your personal money. If you fail to keep this separation, it's called commingling. And commingling can destroy your liability protection because it blurs the boundary between your business and your personal assets. So this means one lawsuit can become personal. One claim could bypass the LLC entirely. One single audit could lead the IRS to disallow deductions, assess tax penalties, or challenge financial legitimacy. A business bank account can solve all of these issues, so I highly recommend that you open one as soon as possible. Don't put your money in your personal bank account. Step number 10 is maintaining legal compliance after formation. Creating an LLC is only the beginning. You want to make sure that you're maintaining this to keep you protected. States require annual reports, and failure to file them can dissolve your LLC. Tax filings must be submitted each year depending on your structure. A single-member LLC reports business income on a Schedule C. A multi-member LLC files Form 1065. An S corporation files Form 1120S. A C corporation files Form 1120. If you miss deadlines, there are penalties, there are interest, or loss of standing. A dissolved LLC no longer protects you. Compliance is simple when handled consistently. You want to set calendar reminders, you want to keep a clean record, you want to run your business professionally, not casually. The more disciplined your operations are, the more protected and scalable that your business will become. Now let's bring this full circle and talk about the part that almost nobody explains clearly. How can you use the tax code to essentially wipe out a lot of your startup cost so it feels like you started your business for free? When you form an LLC and begin setting up your business, you will almost always have some initial expenses. Maybe you paid your state filing fee, maybe you paid for a domain name, a basic website, logo, marketing software, or even professional help getting your book set up. Those are real dollars out of your pocket, and if you're just getting started, you want to save as much money as possible. The IRS, however, recognizes that starting a business costs money before you can actually make money, and that is why they allow you to deduct up to a certain amount of qualifying startup and organizational cost in your first year of active business. So here's what that means in plain English. The IRS will allow you to deduct up to $5,000 of startup cost and a separate $5,000 of organizational cost in your first year, as long as each category stays at $50,000 or less. Startup costs are the expenses that you incur before your business is officially open for operation. That might include advertising, market research, consulting, travel to meet potential clients, or preliminary work done to get your business ready. Organizational costs, on the other hand, relate directly to forming your entity itself. They can include legal fees for drafting and operating agreement, the cost of setting up your LLC, any accounting fees tied to your organization, your initial structure, and similar costs associated with creating your business entity. In total, that gives you up to $10,000 of potential first-year deductions if your startup and organizational costs are within these limits. Anything above that amount doesn't disappear. It's usually spread out and deducted over a 15-year period. But for many new small businesses, their initial costs don't even come close to those thresholds, which means a significant portion can be deducted immediately. So, how does this connect back to the idea of starting your business for free? Well, imagine spending $1,000 on your LLC filing fees, your branding, your basic website setup, and initial tools. If those costs qualify as startup and organizational expenses and you deduct them on your tax return, that deduction will reduce your taxable income. So, in other words, it lowers the amount of income the IRS can tax, thus essentially giving you that money back. Starting an LLC does not require thousands, it does not require hiring experts, it does not require complexity. It requires clarity, structure, and the willingness to follow a process that most people never take the time to understand. And now you know how to form an LLC yourself, you know how to avoid unnecessary fees, and you know what matters, you know what's optional, and you know what truly protects you. So with this knowledge, you can officially call yourself a business owner, and you have the foundation that you need, you have separation, you have control, and what you build from here is completely up to you. Now, if this helped you, then use it, take the steps, register your LLC, build income, build wealth, and protect your future. Let me know in the comments if you were able to use this video to set up your LLC, or if you have any additional questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day.